Hey, we're live. We're live. YouTube, what's up? Happy Saturday, people. Hope you guys are doing well out there in the world. I don't know where you're tuning in from. If you're tuning in from the US, good to see you. If you're across the pond, it's still good to see you as well. This is a rare Saturday live session that I'm doing today. I just felt like doing it. Um, and I'm doing a couple sessions today, and I'm seeing this common theme here is for people who are anxious attachers and people who are the breakup they're struggling with with being able to forgive themselves. I think it must have been maybe 10 years ago. I was in this training session, and there was some people that came from over on the West Coast, and they were training us about forgiveness therapy. There's this thing called forgiveness therapy that people do, and apparently, well, gauging their rate of how much they charge for the sessions. It was people that go there for about a weekend, or they'll go for like a week, and they will do this therapy session with them called forgiveness therapy. And it's one of the things that people do when they're in recovery. Part of the 12-step program is you have to do a section of forgiveness, and it's forgiving other people, forgiving the things that you've done in order to help yourself along in the recovery process. But, before we get into all of that, you people who are signed up for my membership program, I appreciate you guys. The Harvest membership levels is starting to really take off, and I want to do so much more with the membership, but I'm going to need a little bit more engagement and a little bit more commitment in order to make it worthwhile for my time. Um, it's been going well. The people who are signing up, I'm pretty sure you guys can vouch and give your testimony about how valuable the one-on-one sessions is for you, and just how much more affordable it is compared to if you go to my website and you book a one-on-one session with me. So thank you guys again. As always, I always got to shout you guys out that are part of the Harvest level, and as part of the people who are in the membership program who's giving to me, helping me out, keeping the lights on, keeping me in this beautiful sunroom of an office I have here where I can continue to serve you guys, as well as keep the lights on, keeping a roof over my head. Appreciate you guys. Jesse, what's up? Good to see you, brother. So, um, like the topic says, it's important for you guys to forgive yourself. All right. Sorry, I was eating the sub. I took my daughter for a walk today to enjoy this weather, and we went and got a sub. But it's important for you guys to forgive yourself for your part in the breakup, because if you can't get past that, you're going to always live in this perpetual state of um, what ifs, like Tony Robbins called the should haves, the world of should haves. And he said it's important not to live in um, the world of shoulds, because you'll should all over yourself. You don't want to should all over yourself. You have to accept your part in the breakup. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know, because ignorance is bliss up until a point where it's detrimental, up until a point where you cause some things to happen that all it took is a couple, uh, a little bit of research, a couple books, something that people take for granted. We take the internet for granted. It's so many resources out there. If you're going through something in life, all it takes is a Google search to uh, transform your life and turn your relationship completely around. But for some reason, we don't do that. We don't want to read the books. Like people who watch my videos, instead of reaching out to me for a session, they watch the videos and they try to take these little breadcrumbs or these little nuggets of information, but they don't really fully want to comprehend, fully embrace everything that it takes in order to turn your relationship around and be able to date and have healthy relationships. Because I'm not a dating coach, I'm not a pickup coach. I teach every aspect of the relationship. That's the dating, the courtship, the relationship phase, the marriage, how to um, how to have a nice balance of the thing called so and so polarity. I don't know if I can say that because of monetization issues, but it's something called something polarization. If you guys are interested in that, send me an email. I'll let you know what that is. It's something that Napoleon Hill taught. It's something that a lot of other people teach about how attraction works for the different sexes in life. How can I forgive them for their part in their breakup? You forgive them for their part in the breakup by just you give them grace. You know, for people who are anxious, we give other people a lot of grace, but we don't give ourselves grace. So you give them grace as well as yourself. Realize that we're human. We make mistakes. Um, if it's something that they did as far as like cheating, I know that's really hard to forgive, but at the same time, you got to realize that you are forgiving them for yourself because you don't want to walk around with that strife. You don't want to walk around with that with this vent this what do you call it strife. All right, you don't want to carry that strife because strife can take you to the grave. And if you're carrying strife and if you haven't forgiven them for what they've done, you're not forgiving them to let them off the hook. You're forgiving them so you can heal yourself, so you don't have to carry it with you anymore. If you continue to carry that with you, you won't be able to show up present fully in whatever relationship that you have in the future. Because if you're still bitter, angry, I think we know a lot of people that are like this. If you're still struggling to forgive them, then you're going to be taking that baggage and that garbage on to the next relationship. And you won't be able to fully be present because you're going to, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Phantom X phenomenon. You're gonna always be looking for those signs from the past relationship and um, understand, wow, so how can I forgive them is understand why you're forgiving them. You're not forgiving them so they can go on and be happy and feel like, oh yeah, he forgiven me, so or she forgiven me, so I don't have to feel any of those ill feeling feelings that I feel for doing them wrong. You're forgiving them for you. Neil from the UK, it's probably what, 10 o'clock over there? 9, 10 o'clock. Good to see you, man. Glenn, always good to see you. Just the topic I needed. What's up, man? I refuse to forgive. Jesse, chill out, man. You funny. How can I forgive them for their part? Already answered that. 8 p.m. over in the U Kizzle. Thank you guys for joining. I know you could be doing something else on this Saturday, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Really, really do. Uh, yeah, forgiving and forgetting are two different kinds of two different words for a reason. Right. That's exactly right. You're not forgetting, but you're forgiven. And you're forgiven because you want to be able to move on and push forward. And it's important to forgive yourself. All right. Don't beat yourself up. I know usually when people reach out to me, they want to know how to get back in the arena. How could they show this person that they have changed? And if they don't get that opportunity, they have a hard time forgiving themselves. But you don't need that person's forgiveness or second chance in order to forgive yourself, because there's a reason that things happen. There is nothing happens by chance, and the failures that you have with relationships, or if you want to consider it a failure, it's for a reason. There's always something to learn, and there's always something that is growth worthy that you can take away from those relationships. If you're coming in here to say what's up, like the feed, share the feed. If you think about all of the people that you know that went through a messy divorce or went through a messy breakup, and they kind of written off men and they kind of written off women, or they just decide to be an independent person and want to do their own thing, they may need to see this too. They may need to see that uh, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. We have like this gap in knowledge because the people that didn't know anything about attachment styles before coming across me and other people's channels, uh, they just didn't know, and they struggle because the comments that I get all the time is, "I wish I would have known this a month ago or a year ago, or before I had my previous breakup." But you learned it at the right time. You learned this exactly when you needed to learn it, because you may have tuned into me a month ago or a year ago, and it would have never mattered to you. Like you would have just saw this attachment style stuff and moved on. Like, okay, well that's cool in theory, but what do I need to know that information for? You would have, you would have never. So I think it was Napoleon Hill. He's got this book called Think and Grow Rich, and he said one of the things he says pretty often in the book is, if you listen closely, or doing his lectures, if you listen closely, I will give you the key to success right now if your mind is ready to receive it. And that's the key. Sometimes our mind is closed. Actually, oftentimes than not, our minds are closed, too closed to receive the information fully in its entirety. Like if certain books I read, I have to go back and read the books over and over again because my mind was most likely fixated on a certain part of the book or the information, but it was closed to the other, open to some parts, but closed to the other parts. So uh, forgive yourself because you may not have been ready to hear it. People who are in happy and thriving relationships, they don't typically seek out information like this because they don't need to fix anything. They're in a land of complacency and thriving. So if that's you, realize that it's human nature. Like it's useless knowledge. Our mind is constantly trying to receive information that's going to help us in that moment, something that's going to help push us to the next level. But if it's not broken, you're not trying to fix it. Think about it. Like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if the wheel isn't squeaking, you're not looking for attachment styles. You're not looking for communication skills in a relationship. It's only when that thing starts to fall apart and things start to get rusty and it starts to squeak is when you start to look out this information. Which, if you find this at an early enough time, you can usually turn things around and understand how you operate, understand how they operate. If you find my channel, you can find out about attachment styles. Hey, if you guys are coming in here and you're a part of the membership, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. The harvest level is taking off. I really want to get as many people in there as possible so we can do these massive group coaching sessions where we can help each other out. And I like to do that on Zoom, but I need enough people to sign up for it in order to make it worth my while. So there's always, thank you, Coach. Shadow Spear, thank you, Coach. Your videos have helped me a lot. Boom, that's what I like to hear. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here on this Saturday afternoon, because I got some time off to help you guys. There's always something to learn. That's right. I started learning about attachment theory after my last breakup. This is how I came here. Yeah, you didn't come here because you were happy. You probably searched something or looked up something about a breakup or people who are emotionally unavailable, and then it led you down this rabbit hole of different videos, and voila, the analytics kicked in, and now you're here watching me with my Snoopy shirt on because it's a lazy Saturday and just enjoying life and engaging with me. Welcome. Learning. All right. How can a DA be so cold to a partner but very attached to his kids? Like he told me he cannot sleep alone in his room without his kids. Um, one thing I learned about that is their kids are an extension to them because they have trust issues. They know the people that they can trust is their own kids. and they form a very close bond with them. There are some people who often live vicariously through their kids, and I know certain attachment styles, they have control issues, and their kids are no different. They like to control, they like helicopter parent them, and they live in this perpetual state of fear. So they want to control as much of their kids' experience as possible. And given that, somebody who's a dismissive, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, their kid is an extension of them. So they want to be able to um, teach them their way of living the best they can. And that's not just, let's be honest here. Just because they're dismissive doesn't mean that they don't have that need for connection and bond. They do. They still have that need for affection and companionship. So if they swore off lovers at the moment or people that they want to be in a relationship with at that moment, of course they're going to turn that energy towards their kids. They take great pride in their parenting, no matter how hard they knock. Enjoying a coffee, no matter how hard they knock you down, is how quickly you get back up that counts. That's right, Glenn. Where are you at? Oh, you in the UK. What part of UK you in, Glenn? Is the attachment style only formed in childhood, or can it also be formed through partnerships in hood? So there's this thing called ACEs Too High, Trauma Informed Care. Website is aces2high.com, where you take this quiz, and it's 10 questions. Then the questions are formed around whether you were abused or neglected, or a bunch of, if you had an absentee parent, a bunch of different questions that they ask you. And you take that quiz, and they tell you what your resiliency level is to the trauma that you experienced growing up. You could be somebody who experienced a great deal of trauma, but if you had a strong resiliency level, which means that a lot of things that the conditions you were growing up in didn't affect you a whole lot. It didn't affect your personality or your attachment style, which is rare because it all depends on how much trauma you were exposed to and the severity of the trauma. But it's typically formed when you were a child. But as you get older, if you were in a toxic relationship long enough, it can change the way you operate in your relationships. So it can change. It's either in your childhood is the foundation for it. But over time, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist for so long, you're going to start doing things to protect yourself, because it kind of undoes a lot of the thing. I'm sorry, undoes a lot of the thing. I'm here trying to read at the same time. Undo a lot of the things that you've learned as a kid. Like if you were secure and you get into a relationship with somebody that's narcissistic or severely avoidant, that can change you. And for whatever reason, you could be secure and you can get sucked into a relationship for longer than you know is comfortable and healthy. Just like the frog in the pot, the boiling pot analogy. I said it before. I've said this analogy before. If you guys know it, comment below if you know. If you give me a thumbs up if you know this analogy. So if you take a frog and you put it into a pot of boiling water, eventually it's gonna jump out. Nope, sorry. Let me get this correct. Back it up. If you take a frog and you put it into a pot of boiling water, it's going to jump out right away. All right. So if it's a toxic relationship, within the first month or so, you start to see all those signs of toxicity, unhealthiness, you'll hop out right away. But if you take a frog and you put it into a pot of water and you slowly turn the heat up, eventually it'll boil itself to death because it doesn't realize that the conditions that it's staying in for too long is killing them. And it's the same thing with the relationship. You stay in this relationship with a narcissist or somebody who um, is really unhealthy for you, somebody that gaslights you, somebody who makes you feel like everything is your fault, somebody who cheats, somebody who lowers your worth and your self-esteem. Eventually, you're going to feel like this is what I'm worth. I'm not worth anything better than this. and it's going to lower your self-esteem. And sooner or later, you're going to be in a relationship and look at yourself in the mirror and don't even know who you are. You're going to be wondering, how did I let this happen for so long? What is it about me that can't find healthy men? I can't attract healthy men. All my friends are in these healthy relationships, but me, I'm here getting abused and he's cheating on me, or she, or whoever. So that's the analogy. Thanks, Glenn. Thumbs up. You in the feed? I see I have 16 people in here. Thumbs up. Join the membership if you will. If you feel like it's valuable to you, you feel like you can benefit from a session with me one-on-one, join that harvest level membership. Pin that. Pin my email for you guys. It's 17 people. What's going on? All right, could a man... Okay, here we go. Let me answer these questions. Why do siblings have different attachment styles while we all were raised by the same parents? Think about this, SK. Think about twins. You know, think about triplets. People who are born twins and triplets who are identical as far as biologically, but one twin end up being, a scholar, and the other twin end up being at-risk youth. It's all about your resiliency and how you perceive the things that happen to you in life. Because there are some people that are able to view their conditions as not their fault. They don't pin a lot of blame on themselves. They'll see things that happen to them as a child, and are able to assign like a optimistic type of rationale to it, or be able to see things from a way like that person was having some issues that had nothing to do with me. And then there are other people who feel like everything was their fault. But I know in general, as kids, we're very selfish, and we live this egotistical type of world where we feel like everything that happens to me is because of me. So if your parents were going through a divorce, you had to move, your parents are arguing, you feel like it's all your fault because you don't understand that there are external conditionings that you have no control over and has nothing to do with you. But there are people who are able to have a strong resiliency to that and see people as like, oh no, that's just a bad person. That person just had some issues going on themselves. And then there are people who really feel a deep sense of shame and take on the responsibility for things that happened to them as a kid. You see this a lot in people who struggle with drugs and alcohol, who medicate. You see this a lot with them, where they feel like they weren't loved, and they weren't valued as a kid, and that they have a deep sense of toxic shame because of the things that they've done, because they're somebody, whoever raised them put that blame on them and didn't explain why things happen to them in an appropriate way, if that makes sense. Thumbs up if you know what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying. Got a super chat here. Thank you, Elizabeth. I wish I had some type of noise or something, but I don't. I mean to ask if a guy could ever leave a woman that he loves if he suffers from depression, or would he remain, get help, and try to work things out? As somebody who struggled with depression himself, you're not exactly enthusiastic or motivated about trying to find help for yourself. It's really a debilitating thing to have. If you have depression, or if you ever struggle with like chronic anxiety or panic attacks, some people will just cut and run and don't want to feel like a burden to that person, so they'll leave them. They'll say things like, I can't give you what you need in relationship. I think you're better off without me. You can find better than me. There are people who value the relationship enough And understand that when people are in their life to try to help them, they're there for the right intentions and they're not a burden to them. But I was watching a show the other day about, I'm not even gonna say it because I don't know if I have like rights to do that. But I was watching a show and this guy was diagnosed with cancer. The dad was diagnosed with cancer, and what he did was he fell into this deep depression about it, and he left. He wrote the kids a letter, and he just left, and he was gonna go die in the woods in the cabin that he owned, and they got upset. They said you can't just pull away from us like that and isolate yourself. If you want to go through the chemo or do what you got to do to get this thing treated, we're here for you. But when you're depressed, some people, everybody handles it different ways. Some people will lean on other people for help, and other people will just take off and say, hey, I don't want to be a burden on anybody in life. So, in order for me to feel comfortable and leave you with a sense of leave myself with a sense of dignity in your eyes, then I need to just back away. Does that help, Elizabeth? So it all depends. It definitely does. Um, how you perceive things. Our perception shapes our reality. I wish I can really drive that home to you guys, but that's 100% facts there. Our perception shapes our reality. Um, how we view different interactions, the world, is what our reality would be like. If you're somebody who always feels like somebody's trying to slight you, trying to uh, manipulate you or set you up, you're going to have a much more pessimistic and negative worldview about your reality. So if somebody is depressed, um, and they feel like they're a burden to somebody or to anybody in the world, and they isolate themselves because that's where they feel the most comfortable, um, they're going to live a different reality than somebody who's not depressed and who realize that doctors are there to help them, medications will help them, um, their family they can count on. They'll live a different type of reality. Their perception will be totally different. Asking Glenn, what's up, man? Asking them about their past at the start of a relationship gives you a clue of what type of person they are. I was thinking about coming out with some type of card game where, I don't know if you guys ever seen those card games where they're conversation starters. Come up with some type of, I might be giving this idea away. It may be created already, but if I'm giving you this idea, thumbs up or send me some super chat money because it's going to make you a lot of money if you're able to implement it the way that I'm thinking in my head. Come out with some type of card game that has some things, and this is maybe some triggering things, questions, and you can pass on those triggering questions, but come out with some type of card game where their conversation starters. You could talk about, history in a respectful way. Like there won't be any straight up uh triggering cards. I won't go like way deep. I won't do a deep dive into cards, but like kind of surface level questions that will prompt deeper conversations, and you can know what you're dealing with because you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of heartache if you ask the right questions in the beginning of the relationships. But you know how we do, we kind of just slide right into a relationship without having these deep questions asked, without having uh, the what are we conversations even. Sometimes we just hook up one time and the next thing you know, we're in a relationship or we're seeing each other every day without asking them, hey, do you want a serious relationship? Uh, what does your future look like? What does your past look like? Elizabeth, he slowly faded on me. So I didn't sense any dignity there. I was the only woman in his life that he'd done that to. He probably broke up with me with all the others. Very disappointing. Agreed. This is the root of me and my ex's arguments. He doesn't seem to grasp the idea of different perceptions. If somebody has that issue where they don't perceive reality, their perception of reality is completely jaded, then you're going to be in for a lot of turmoil in that relationship. Because that's essentially when people are trying to, uh, I want to say gaslight you into believing their reality is different from your reality. And then you have to go ask all these other people. I had a relationship like that where I had to go ask other people, was I wrong or was I right? Like, am I seeing things the right way? Then you're gonna have a lot of turmoil in your relationship because you're not seeing things from the same lens. I was slowly faded, which is something that he hadn't done to anyone else. I felt disrespected. He could have been honest and open to transparency. That's true. But you know what? The way I perceive it, my perception is he did you a favor. Because if somebody's going to just disappear on you, I don't know how long you guys been together. If somebody's just going to disappear on you, they're giving you your time back. And time is a non-renewable resource. Once it's gone, it's gone. You know what they say, time is the great equalizer. Once it's gone, you'll never get it back. You can't get an instant rebate on it. You can't get a mail-in rebate. You can get friends back. You can get money back. You can get possessions back, but time you can't. And I know once we're with somebody for so long, you feel like they owe you something. So when somebody disappears on you, you feel like they owe you an explanation. But if you really understand that nobody really owes you anything at all, I mean, what they gave you already was a gift. The time that they've given you already was a gift. So they really don't owe you anything extra on top of that. It'd be nice. It's it's courteous, it's respectful, it's ideal, but they don't owe you. They had a package to deliver. You hear that? Definitely a package. DA left due to anxiety. I think it's my books. I got some books I ordered that came really quickly. Hmm. What's up, CZ? Is that Cizzy? CZ? Cizzle? Super chat. Hey, people are giving me super chat money. This is cool. This rarely happens. If you want to join my membership program, go ahead and do so. Email me. Oh, yeah, I definitely got some books delivered. Now, see, that's the thing. Like, you have to do the work. I see so many coaches that they have different perspectives and they're coaching people, which is great. But I like to pick their brains and say, hey, where did you get this idea from? Because to be honest, every book that you've read, every coach you listen to, most likely plagiarized the things that they're teaching and the things that they're coaching. I learned that the hard way, and it was really an eye-opening experience because the person that I study the most, I realized that the words that he was teaching and the philosophy that he was teaching, his way of life, wasn't something that he created. It was something that he found and he just repackaged and redelivered in a way that he could. And I was like, wow. So then I started to study who he studied. And then I saw that person. And then I started to study who he studied. So read books. I think it was, what's his name? DeGrazio. I saw an ad on Instagram about him. I think that's his name. If you guys know who I'm talking about, comment down below. Just give me a thumbs up. DeGrazio. They asked him what was his secret to success because he's like multi-millionaire, and he said, I read. And he showed a couple books. Read this book. Read that book. But unfortunately, not a lot of people want to do that. They want the quick fix. They want the quick injection. They want the the quarantine shot or whatever you call it, the COVID-19 shot right away. They want the quick fix. So I try to read as much as I can. I might have a bookshelf right behind me the next time we talk because I want to make sure that I show you guys the resources of where I get my information from because I think it's the respectful thing to do. But if you're coming in here, the title today is what is the title? I don't write this stuff down usually. I just kind of just shoot from the hip. Um, why you should forgive yourself. Why it's important. There it is. Why is it important for you to forgive yourself? To let it go, to move on, to show up better in the next relationship. Because if you hold on to that stress of what you did wrong in the relationship and that strife, you're gonna find it very difficult to find closure in the relationship from the relationship. So forgive yourself. It's one of the things. The one thing I learned about people that are in recovery in the 12-step program is they really dive deep into a lot of different areas of life that all of us should be doing. And we don't have to be, struggling with some type of addiction in order to do that. Forgiveness is one of them. Forgiveness and letting go. Hey, look up the 12-step programs. Like I talked about earlier, you can Google anything. Google the 12-step program and the different areas in life that they touch on in order to make people feel more whole and fulfilled without some type of substance. All right, I'm out of here. I'm gonna take off. This avoidant attachment person says that I'm gonna read this last comment. This avoidant attachment person says they can't handle my emotions, but I wasn't speaking to them. I reached out after a couple of weeks. They've said before they like me, but all of a sudden switched it up. Now I don't know what happened in that situation, but if they perceive somebody, whether it's an avoidant, a dismissive, or a fearful, if they perceive somebody as needy and somebody who's not centered with their emotions, or this is all perception. If they perceive that you're asking too much from them and like you're too clingy, they will do that. They will pull away. And if you're a man, if you know about the law of attraction, not the law of attraction, but how attraction works for men versus women, being somebody as a man that talks too much about his emotions, that talk too much about something that they should be talking to their mom or their therapist about, they'll start to lose their attraction for you because it doesn't look masculine and it looks more beta male-ish in vibes. But with that being said, I hope this was valuable for you. Reach out to me on my other social media. Twitter is Coach Court 2. Instagram is I am Coach Court. Facebook is I am Coach Court. And if you want to join my membership program for one-on-one sessions with me, I am here for you guys. I'll see you on Monday. Namaste. Peace.